Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 20 of the podcast, Jump Into Success. Okay, let's go! Alrighty, here we are, episode 20. I hope you are well and you've had a good week. And it's been pretty busy here. I had my sister visiting, so that's been keeping me busy. And we've been doing some work around the house, actually, and a bit in the garden, so that's been keeping me super busy. But I've got a couple of sort of themes that I want to discuss with you today. And they're sort of connected to our big project, which we've spoken about many times, which is our large format group coaching project. Now, if you haven't been involved in this, you still can get involved. All you've got to do is go to the website, click on Be Inspired Group. It's at the top of the website in the blue banner, and sign up. And you'll have access to all of the videos, all of the inspirational content, and of course, if you're listening to this, you're already part of it in a way, but being part of the Be Inspired Group, you get a lot more. A lot more, and we're going to be adding more again next week, so watch out for that if you're already in the club. Now then, what have we got for you today? So it's kind of a two-themed thing that I've got for you today, and it's connected, as I say, to the overall idea of setting goals and being involved in developing yourself, your personal development, personal growth, and getting ready for success in 2025. And it kind of comes from a couple of questions, I suppose, or comments that we've had in. Well, the comments kind of go something like, I know personal development's kind of cool, it's probably a great idea, but I'm not sure it really works for me, or I did read that book one time and nothing really happened, or I went on a course once and it was kind of fun at the time and I learned some things, but there was no real change in my life. Well, guess what? Yeah, I get that. And there may be some reasons. So we're going to explore that a little bit first off. And then we're going to talk about a model for maybe helping people set little goals. Now, remember, I think last time I mentioned about setting smaller goals is often more important than setting larger goals. Because sometimes when the goal is just too big, it becomes kind of overwhelming. And we just think, cracky, I'm never going to get there. It's just too much. It's too big. And, I'm plowing away, but I'm just not seem to be making any progress. The trouble is, of course, you probably are making progress, but if the goal is so big, the progress might seem so small. So we encourage people, yes, have a big vision, maybe for the future. I talk about having a 5-year plan, a 2-year plan, and a 1-year plan, but break it down into small chunks. So small goals that are connected to a bigger goal is a better strategy because you become more motivated as you successfully complete all the little small chunks that lead up to the big goal. It's kind of easy how that works. So one of the things that we thought we would tackle first off is this idea that personal development doesn't always work. And in fact, we have an article on the website about this, why personal development is often misunderstood. Now, I can tell you from my own experience, of course, that it demonstrably does work, does change your mindset, does empower you, does give you the positive mindset, the growth mindset, all of those kind of things to make changes in your life. So as we say, people have read the books, they've gone on a course, but no real experience of change happening in their lives. And at the end of the day, I think it boils down to one or two type of things. And in a way, it's this notion of, well, I took the vitamins, but now I don't have a six-pack. That's kind of what that is. And it's a real misunderstanding. Just taking the vitamins is not going to give you the six-pack or get you beach body ready or really that kind of cliche type of comments. You've got to take what you learn from the books, take what you learn from the seminars, from the courses, from, the training program, whatever that might be, listening to this even maybe, if I can be so bold. Then you've got to think, okay, what have I learned from that? What's the key learning, the key principle, the key idea, the key model, the key intervention to make my life better, more useful, powerful, successful, happier, etc., etc. Insert whichever word you feel is appropriate. It takes action. So you've got to take the model, take the idea, and then apply it to your life. And this is the bit that people often genuinely get wrong. And it's not even like it's sort of a, I don't know, a kind of a determined thing. I've read that, so now there must be change. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of an unconscious assumption that if I just do that, some change is going to happen. Well, a little change may happen to begin with, in as much as you get more positive and you think, well, that's a great idea and I could probably do that. But then you've got to knuckle down and get on with it. So you've got to take the knowledge, take the wisdom, take the idea and apply it. Practical application is what leads to results. Just sitting around talking about it or reading about it is not going to, cook that omelette. You've got to really, really do it. As we say, cognitive and behavioral shift in our mindset. And that's what really brings the results. And with that comes this notion, of course, excuse me again of this wretched cough, is about goal setting. Now, goal setting is one of those things that people often get really, 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 really wrong. And so I've been on the course, I've read the book, I've got the idea, and then nothing. So then you've got to set yourself a goal to apply it. So, what was it Aristotle said? We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not just a one-off act, but it becomes a habit. And it's the key to creating success in our lives. Now, most people are familiar with the notion of the SMART goal setting. And it's kind of been around for a long, long time. SMART goals are they're specific, measurable, and so on and so on and so on, all of that kind of stuff. But really, they're not necessarily what you might call well-formed in the way that we might think about well-formed outcomes in NLP. So we kind of take the SMART idea that's been around for a long, long time, and we turn it into SMARTs. So, the slogan I've sort of said before, and again, there's an article on the website going into a lot of detail around this, why using your SMARTs is better than just being smart. And it's about turning goals into well-formed outcomes. Now, I've talked about well-formed outcomes many, many, many times, and it's important that there is a big difference. Goals are kind of umbrella spectrum, give you direction, you kind of have a sense of where you're going. But outcomes are more specific, and they're very, very precise and measurable, whereas goals often are not. They're kind of an idea. I want to go there. The outcome is what you get at the end of it. So, with the idea of beginning with the end in mind, it's better off, excuse me again, to have well-formed outcomes instead of just goals. It's the want to, the how to, the chance to, and the agreed evidence. What will I see, hear, and feel that says, yes, this is going in the right direction. So, very, very quickly then, if we think about this idea of the SMARTs as opposed to the SMART, how does that work? And as I say, it's on the website, but if I just run through it now and you can sort of take some notes as we go along, that might be helpful. So first off, it needs to be specific. Your goal or your outcome needs to be specific. And in fact, we would say the more specific or the more clarity, the more chances are you're going to be motivated on it. So you'd ask the kind of question, what do you want? What's that going to do for you? Have this picture in your mind of what that's like. Make the picture bigger, brighter, shinier. But being very, very clear what this goal will do for you, i.e., I'm doing this because this will enable me to do that or have that. We often say the goal beyond the goal. The goal beyond the goal. And then, how motivated are you on a scale of 1 to 10? It needs to be 10 and not 1 or 4 or something like that. It needs to be right at the top end. I want this, and I'm clear why I want this. For what reason this outcome? Because. It's very, very clear to me. Then, once we've got that, is the M of SMARTs. It's measurable. How are we going to measure the success? Because if it ain't, what gets measured gets, improved. So how will you measure your progress? What will you see? What will you hear? And what will you feel that says, yes, I'm going in the right direction. And in fact, I've reached my ultimate success. Now, this is a real key thing from NLP, the sensory specific evidence of progress. What will I see? What will I hear? What will I feel? As opposed to, I'll just kind of know, because you won't just kind of know. What will you see, hear, and feel? Then we go to A. Is this achievable? Now, this is the reality check. Because, you say, I want to win the lottery. Is it measurable? Well, yes, because I have all this money and it's great and yada, yada, yada. But is this achievable? It's a reality check. Am I in control of this? Is this applicable right now? Or, the other way around, is this a great idea, great goal, but is now the right time to do it? and only you will be able to answer that question. It's kind of like an ecology check. Then resourced, and this is important as well, because this is where a lot of goal setting goes wrong, because there's no strategy, there's no resources put in place to make the change happen. So what will it really take to make this goal or this outcome become a reality for you? What are the resources that you need? Do you have them? If not, in a way, that becomes the goal. So make a list of all the resources that you'll need to achieve the particular outcome that you're considering. Maybe it's a computer, maybe there's some new skills, maybe you need a team of people, maybe you need a special advisor. What is it? What is it you need? The resource, maybe free up some time, maybe get a coach to help you through this process, who knows? Because any of those type of things fit into that category of resources. Now, if you don't have the resources, it's pointless making a start, in as much as you'll fall at the first hurdle. Now, that's not to say you have to wait till you've got the perfect website, the headed paper, the embossed, business cards. That's not what I'm suggesting. But you need to have enough stuff in the bag to make it a reality, to make it go, to fly. As I think they say in development, minimum viable product. So you're good to go. Then we move on to a time frame, because if there's no schedule, there's going to be no progress. And that's just guaranteed. There has to be a schedule, time framed. So when is this specifically going to happen for you? What's the timeline target? When are you going to commit to making a start? And I always encourage people to write down a date and a time, even if it's today. And I always think today is the best day to start. What must you do today is the question. What must you do today? And what else? And what else? And what about tomorrow? What else? What else? The what else question is important. What else needs to happen? What else must I do to get this idea off the ground, off the sofa, off the page, out of my computer, into reality? Very, very important. So what's the first step? When am I going to start? And what's the end target that I'm working towards? Now, you might need some flexibility in that end target. That's fine. But what is the timeline that you're actually working towards? And then steps. What's the first step? Now, I cannot tell you how important this is. I do coaching for a living, and what's the first step? Getting that commitment to taking action on that day, that moment, that time. Today, in fact. What's the first step? What must you do? And then again, the what else, the what else, what else. All of that is super, super important. So that's kind of an overview of SMARTS. But as I say, excuse me, it's on the website, and I'll put the link in the notes. Now, the next thing about personal development is being part of a community. Now, I've talked about this on other videos. It's kind of like we talk about in logical levels, the various different stages of development, and environment is the most basic one. Albeit I say basic, that's probably not true or fair to say basic. It's a good starting point, but in many ways it's the biggest thing, because guess what? You're in the environment. And Thomas Leonard talks about the 9 environments as an example. All the different parts of us that create the environment that we live in, our financial environment, or the house we live in, the work environment, our social environment, etc., etc., etc. Which brings me on to this notion of the power of community. And I've talked about this many, 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 many times, but it's super, super important, and it's worth mentioning again. It's the one reason why we started the Be Inspired group last year. Because if you're part of a community that's positive, can do, interested in personal development, setting goals, a lot of co-coaching goes on, and support for different people, guess what's going to happen? Your whole mindset will begin to change. You become a can-do person, as opposed to it's difficult and I might not be able to do it. It gets rid of all of those thought viruses that can spring up, and those sort of unhelpful limiting beliefs that spring up when you least expect them. So I will say it again, join the Be Inspired group, because, it's totally free. We don't sell off your details to some other strange company to spam you with God knows buying what. It is just about a community of people who are interested in creating a better tomorrow for themselves, for their families, for their business, and so on. Lots of really, really positive can-do content. And of course, at the moment, we've got this large format group coaching project going on as well. And then I would say, I suppose, having the idea of NLP and coaching thrown in there as well is going to make a difference. And I always say, having a coach is singularly, in many ways, one of the most powerful things you can do to accelerate your both personal and indeed professional growth. But so is journaling, being involved in generalized personal development, being part of the Be Inspired group, reading the books, going on the courses, any of those kind of things will make a massive, massive difference. Now, moving on to the other thing that I wanted to talk about today, which was the large format group coaching project. Now, we've got lots and lots of content we've already put out there, which is very, very exciting. And again, I really, really, really want to emphasize that. Want to thank all of those people who have written in or mentioned, sending comments on social media, etc., thanking us for the project in the first place, but also making suggestions. And they're really, really great. And we're going to see how many of those we can integrate into the system. Now, the next big chunk of this project will be next week, where we'll be going through a very specific model that we think is really, really going to help everybody clarify. Because remember last time we sort of asked that tentative goals, sort of filtering goals, ideas about what we're going to do. And so next week we're going to be chunking that down and really getting into more detail. And we'll also have a video on the website for that as well. So be sure to tune in for that. And as I say, if you're in the Be Inspired group, I don't know, I sound like a broken record here, but you'll get a lot more content. And I keep saying this, and the reason I keep saying this, actually, I better clarify, is because so many people write in and say, I'd love to be, but I'm not a coach. You don't have to be a coach or a practitioner of any description. Just anybody can just join. It's all for free. Just join. It's great. We love to have you on board. It really is all about the community that we're building here. Okay, so a short one for today. I hope you find that useful. I'm sure you will. We've got some really, really good interviews lined up, some really fantastic guests. I'm amazed at people saying yes, but we're just doing this kind of Be Inspired group and big project, coaching project this month, and we'll get to the interviews later on, although we do have one in the middle of this, which I know you're going to find very, very exciting. So be sure to subscribe and not miss out on that episode. Okay, there we have it for today. I wish you every success, and I will catch you on the next episode. Till then, take care of yourself. Bye for now.